For the first time since 1998, the U.S.A. Speedway plays host to the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. The fans are filing in to see if Doug Coby can win 2 in a row based on his success at Riverhead Raceway just 1 week ago. Justin Bonsignore is all business as he looks to rebound from a 25th place finish and get his season back on track. But the favorite might be one of the outlaw drivers, the hottest driver in open wheel competition, Matt Hirschman, who has his eyes squarely on the prize. Well, it is not the Kentucky Derby tonight. It's the Granite State Derby 175 from the Lee U.S.A. Speedway in New Hampshire. It's the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lee U.S.A. Speedway. I'm Joe Koss alongside Ben Dodge. A picture-perfect night for modified action with a Kentucky Derby theme. Ben has all the makings of a great event here tonight.
It certainly does, and just like the Kentucky Derby, it is the grand finale. The opportunity. These cars have not been at this racetrack since 1998. Previous winners here of the Whelen Modified Tour included, way back in 1993, Reggie Ruggiero. Jamie Tomeno won in 1994. Tim Conley in 95. Ricky Fuller, and the last visit was Ed Flemke Jr. Those were the stories then, but there's a big story happening, and it's about to go as the field will move from the starting grid. A youngster, just 19 years of age, from Rehoboth, Massachusetts, Jake Johnson, a rookie, driving the Propane Plus Lynn's Propane Trucks machine, set fast time, 14.747. That was the story then. And there's been a lot of fanfare for this event. The theme was the Kentucky Derby. JDV Productions has had it all here for the fans in one of the biggest crowds assembled at this racetrack. They moved from the starting grid, Joe. Let's give a recap of what's in store.
Well, let's take a look at how they'll start and how they'll go to post today for the Granite State Derby 175. His first career Mayhew Tools pole going to Jake Johnson at just 19 years old. Will line up on the front row alongside one of the veterans, Matt Hirschman. You go a little bit deeper through the field, you've got Doug Coby, who won just a week ago in Riverhead, looking to continue that momentum.
You sure do. He's driving the number 7 car that he won at Riverhead. Kyle Bonsignore was a surprise, set atop the board. Car 22 will be back in the 4th spot. John McKennedy knows this track better than most in the Super Modifieds. And what about the rookies?
Yeah, how about it? Austin Beers will start 6th. Eric Goodale, some of the other drivers who watch inside the top 10. Justin Bonsignore starting 10th. We look a little bit deeper in the field. Sammy Ramu, he'll start 11th here tonight. Milano starts 14th. He was a driver that nearly won at Richmond Raceway, and he likes this style of racetrack, but he'll start deep through the field tonight.
He sure will. And then a surprise entry, Jacob Perry in the 15th starting spot, and Melissa Fifield, one of the most popular drivers of this series, will be starting in the 19th starting position. We talked about the setting. You couldn't have a better afternoon for racing, but the big story here today is the man that's in the outside of row number 1, Matt Hirschman. They call him Big Money Matt. Just a few weeks ago, he won a race at Stafford. The next day, the total was $32,000 plus, and he's going to be in an SRX event. That's a bonus, but today he's running for the money. We've already talked to the crew chiefs. Joe, you know what they told us. You're going to have to be smooth, consistent, and you're going to have to not burn up that right rear tire.
And there's a driver that's really good at being smooth and consistent. It's the way he won the race last week at the Riverhead Raceway. He'll start 3rd in Doug Coby in the 7 New York. Back in this car again. Remember last week we told you that Jimmy Blewett's daughter, Kayla, was suffering from an illness.
She's doing great
She's
now.
Doing great, but not quite enough for Jimmy to come to the racetrack, so Doug Coby back in that 7 New York. This is a racetrack that he has not had a lot of success at, but he knows how to baby those tires, take care of a piece of equipment, and that's going to be key.
Just remember, a week ago when you were at Riverhead, he said that Riverhead was not his favorite racetrack. Well, that was in the beginning of the night. At the end of the night, he said it ranks right up there. As they head off turn number 4, the yellow flag is being given to the field. And as we said before, this production of this event has had all the glitz and glamour of the Kentucky Derby. But it's going to be put to the test. You can almost feel the intensity and the excitement in the air, Joe, as they head down to turn number 3.
175 laps. The Granite State Derby starts tonight. Here they come into turn number 3 with the Kentucky Derby field, bugler and all, to kick this one off here today. Inside lane for the first time in his career, Jake Johnson on the Mayhew Tools pole. Bob Slade and Amber and Matt Lambert throw the green flag atop the flag stand, but it is Matt Hirschman off turn 2 to take the early lead.
Hirschman on the outside, car number 60. The black and neon numeral car looks racy, but look out, the 3rd position is the heated spot of the racetrack. Traditional Tom Baldwin, number 7 New York car, is the car setting in 3rd for Doug Colby. But side by side, here comes Goodale. He's making some magic to the bottom. That's the white and red number 58 car.
Championship point leader now slides into the 4th position for Doug Colby. That'll push Kyle Bonsignore back to 5th. You go back to the next side-by-side battle. The young driver Austin Mears trying to make things work. He's battling along with Sammy Ramu, who makes his first start in that black and yellow number 06 to the bottom lane of the racetrack.
While that's been happening, Ronnie Silk with that silver and neon numeral number 16 car has moved into the top 6. Now, Phil Moran is the crew chief on that race car. He was Doug Colby's award-winning crew chief for many, many a season. Ronnie Silk looks pretty consistent and pretty smooth. Things start to settle in a bit. First car to go to the outside is that number. Oh, we've got trouble.
And Justin Bonsignore in the middle of that. The Phoenix Communications number 51 went way up high. The other car involved the 54.
And the 54 machine of Catalano, we were just about ready to talk about, and that car is the car that'll bring out the first caution of the event.
So just 5 laps in. Caution number 1. There was a lot of question marks among all the teams whether or not this would be a race that had a long green flag run while everybody got settled in, or if there would be a caution early on. And this may set the tone for the strategy of how this all plays out and whether or not you take tires early or late. The strategy here today, if you're just joining us on Flow Sports, you've got 6 tires that you can change throughout this race. And
maximum 6.
Most of the teams are telling us that they're going to use all of that.
Yes.
They're going to need it because this racetrack is very, very abrasive, like Myrtle Beach once was.
Absolutely. It carries a lot of the same markings. There's the number 54 car of Catalano. The Catalano family, the mother races, the brothers race, everybody in that family races. They have been a big asset to the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, and that car is heading down on pit road on perhaps an adjustment. Let's keep our eyes on that situation there with the number 54 car. Guys over the walls looking at the right side. The right front seems to be where they are most concerned about, even though they have not jacked up the right side of the race car.
Let's get a look at what happened here down into turn number 3. You see him bottlenecking, and it was the outside lane. He got into the back of Craig Lutz in the 82. Justin Bonsignore had nowhere to go. Stephen Dickey, the U.S. Insulation number 98, got through, and J.B. Fortin down to the bottom. Another look at it here. You see him stacking up getting into the turn, and already it was the 54 of Tommy Catalano who drifted up to the outside lane. It looks like everybody got away without too much damage.
Yes.
And as they get ready to come back to the restart here, Catalano will rejoin at the tail end of the field.
Okay, the field is now doubled up. The pace car dives to the center of the infield. Matt Hirschman, Jake Johnson, the 19-year-old superstar, against Big Money Matt. They come off turn number 4, evenly matched as they work their magic to the line. Hirschman with the jump, and that's going to work to the advantage of Doug Colby. Colby puts the 7 New York up into 2nd, and now we've got a side-by-side battle for the 3rd position, and that is Kyle Bonsignore, the silver and pink number 22.
Kyle Bonsignore, his wife, Samantha, depending, just gave birth to their 3rd daughter 2 days ago. He left the hospital, came right here to the racetrack, and his wife said, "You better go out there and win that race for me." They've got a watch party back at his home in Illinois, and they are cheering him on here tonight along with their newborn baby girl. He's looking for the 3rd spot right now in that 22, and he slides into that podium spot.
He sure does. He moves in there with ease and finesse, and it's kind of appropriate that that car has that neon pink on it with that new baby girl in the house there as well. As things start to settle in just a bit, it appears that Craig Lutz, the orange and white number 82 car, Lutz is running back in about the 8th position. He he has had a car that at times has loosened up a bit. Now he's trying to make a move to the inside, but it doesn't happen this time live. Things are getting kind of strung out in the front pack of cars, but it still remains. Matt Hirschman. Now, remember, Hirschman is a guy that doesn't use up his equipment. Keep your eyes on that 54 car as it goes around the Perry machine. That's the Jack Bateman race car, the owner of the Modified Racing Series program.
Talking about Jacob Perry and that number 47 making his Whelen Modified Tour debut here tonight. Won at this racetrack in an open modified type show.
And he won a championship and a title as well.
And last October, and he is trying to use his experience at this racetrack. You say, well, this is a guy making his debut in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Not many of these drivers have recent lap experience here at this racetrack. I mean, Justin Bonsignore, he said the last time I raced here had to be 8 years ago. And a racetrack and the surface changes a lot over that much time.
It certainly does, and you mentioned it earlier. This is a very aggressive, gritty type racetrack. If you spin the rear tires coming off turn number 4, it is going to cost you rather drastically. Keep your eyes on Bonsignore now with that number 51 car, because that car is trying to get back into the hunt, and the car that brought out the caution directly behind that is the red number 54 car of Catalano.
I wouldn't read too much into that, though, because here's the strategy plays. You look at tires being so important. If you can stay on the lead lap and still be in contention and ride your car out, I mean, you'd probably want to be inside the top 5, but if you're Justin Bonsignore, you can hang back a little bit and let the race come to you, but you got to stay on the lead lap, and that's what they're going to try to do here based on where they are out on the racetrack, because that's what the cards have dealt them here tonight in the early stages.
You know, we have a battle shaping up with the current point leader. That is Goodale with the GAF number 58 machine, and Goodale is trying to stay with Sammy Ramo. Now remember, Ramo, he has not run this track on the Whelen Modified Tour car, but he does have some experience here as well. And he'll tell you, he likes the bull race. He's had a lot of success at the Monadnock Speedway, which is going to be one of the stops coming up for the Whelen Modified Tour later in the course of 2022.
Just because you've got a lot of experience in other types of race cars here doesn't always translate.
No, it does
now, Sammy
not.
Ramo's having a good run right now in 5th, but the rubber is different, the track conditions are different. You know, the race cars themselves are pretty much the same, give or take a little bit here or there. The rules, the big difference is the tires, and we know that that's going to be the big factor here today. You've got a guy right behind them in Eric Goodale who's been strong all season long, riding there in the 6th spot. You know, he knows what he's got to do. He has won races before on tire conservation, I think back at the fall final when he won that one at the Stafford Speedway. That was for his skill being conservative and being able to get the car to go all the way to the end.
Here comes Goodale now. He has closed up that gap, and he continues to literally run in the tire tracks of Sammy Ramo. Ramo slips up just a bit, leaves the door open. Car number 58, Riverhead Building Supply, is about to make the move. You can see he can get the car there. Then Ramos tries to bring his car down. That's a spotter that is trying to make his driver hold the bottom line. But for Goodale, that's the part of the real estate he'd like to own to pick up yet another position here at the U.S.A.
Yeah, we're about 27, now 28 laps in as they come across the line this time by. And this is about where the tires start going away. If you look at the stopwatch, Ben, we were qualifying down in the 14-second range. Let's see what they're running.
15-4s
15s.
now.
Yeah, you'll start seeing that these cars will start to drop off, and that's where you'll really see the cars that are good, balanced, and stable start to move forward, and the ones that have gone quick just because they've got good tires start to fade a little bit. So keep an eye on it. It'll be a good indicator of who's going to be good throughout the race.
And just as you say that, let's go back up to the front of this field, as Hirschman has been the dominant car and the leader so far. But Doug Colby is moving in. The margin between first and second is .379. So Colby, even though he might be patient and saving his equipment, he is not letting Hirschman get far enough his side.
Well, if you listen to Matt Hirschman when he comes by us here at the tower along the start-finish line, he's lifting at the start-finish line.
Yes, he is.
He's rolling it down into the corner. Hirschman is not going all out. Doug Colby is not going all out. They are riding and trying to save their equipment, and you can hear it as they roll down into the turn. You know, Colby said, I don't want to be leading this race. If they want to let me lead the race because nobody else wants to go out in front, then I'll do that. but I'd rather run my pace, be somewhere between 2nd and 7th, somewhere in that range. And,
He's
that's
doing
where he is
just
right
that.
now. He's playing
right.
the strategy that he wants to go after. And it's a little different seeing Matt Hirschman out in front. I mean, he's a guy that typically will hang back and work his way through the field. But now he's leading the race, right?
But remember something. Matt is a driver who likes money. And each and every one of these laps that he's leading represents ka-ching, ka-ching. We're talking about money. There is literally in lap money $10,000 above and beyond the posted purse. And Hirschman is racking up the big cash right here now.
Yeah, that's one of the other things that makes this race very, very special. There's already $90,000 in posted winnings for this race for the entire field, on top of some great bonus programs that Josh Pineda and the whole JDV Productions team, the promoter of this event, has put forth for these drivers, which is why this has made it such a magical event. It's also part of a larger Granite State Cup for drivers that compete in all the races that the team is promoting throughout New Hampshire, and that'll be coming up at Monadnock Speedway and Claremont Speedway later on this season. And so you're right, there is some impetus, some motivation to be able to run out front, and Matt Hirschman is cashing in every time he leads a lap here.
He certainly
at the
is.
U.S.A.
You know, there was a time, Joe, that the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour called its base home the state of Connecticut. That is no longer the case. The state of New Hampshire is the state that hosts the most NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour event. And the production company that presented this race program is the magic behind the scene in keeping that alive here in New Hampshire. Look a little further back in the field, and we've got a pretty strong battle that's been going on between Ronnie Silk and that silver number 16 car, and directly behind him is Craig Glutz. And right there is Dave Zapienza. Now, we know when we talked to Dave Zapienza earlier in the paddock area, he said one thing: I'm not sure how to get around this racetrack. This is a tough one. I like the bull rings, but this place has got me baffled. He's looking pretty consistent right now.
Yeah, Dave Zapienza is a very tough driver. I mean, he's got that personality of being an outspoken driver on the racetrack. He's had a good couple of years on the Whelen Modified Tour over the last couple of seasons, having a solid run right here.
A little bit loose coming off the turn that time, as it appears directly behind is the number 64 car for Austin Beers. Now, Austin, he's a youngster, but he has really proven himself well. This is the Murphy race team. Ronnie Uhouse and company have been a part of this, and Eric Beers had a tremendous amount of success over the years. He drove the Bowler cars, and he was very successful on the Whelen Modified Tour. This youngster is showing he is here to stay. And if you go into the Pennsylvania marketplace or the New York market, the name Beers is synonymous like the name Hirschman.
Now, right now, he's running in the 10th position right behind Dave Zapienza, the 64 of Austin Beers. We talked a lot about Matt Hirschman in this broadcast. Austin Beers lives in Northampton, Pennsylvania, just like Matt Hirschman, and he has spent a lot of time racing with him on other series and following him on the racetrack and learning from Matt Hirschman. So he has a lot of the characteristics that Hirschman does. And there a little bit of contact
out
there.
Of line, yep.
It was Gary McDonald down to the bottom of the inside of the 26th lap car, and that allowed Dave Zapienza to check up a little bit. Austin Beers got into him. Everybody is able to get away cleanly. No harm, no foul. We stand to the green flag.
Well, McDonald was right where he was supposed to be in the racetrack at the bottom, but they came up on him so quick. Traffic is the story here as well, as we look further back in the field as they continue to thread the needle. The margin now between Matt Hirschman and Doug Colby is .289. In simple layman's terms, it means they are consistent, both of them. He's not overriding or running his car. He's kicking off and picking up the bonus money for every lap. But Doug Colby is starting to move in. That margin is disappearing. They come up on Walt Sutcliffe, the number 78 car, to the inside of the racetrack. Joe, it's down to less than a car length and a half between Matt Hirschman and Doug Colby.
I don't see Doug Colby pressing this very hard, though, right now. I mean, Matt Hirschman's got a really good race car. Doug Colby knows he has a good race car. There's a pretty good gap from them back to the third-place machine of Kyle Bonsignor, about a half a straightaway between the two. And these drivers are just working up through this lap traffic, trying to save their equipment. I mean, we're coming up on lap
51 as they came across the line this time by 175 laps in distance. And everybody's still looking for that first opportunity to come down pit road, get their tires, and make some adjustments if they need to.
You know, nobody knew what it was going to be like here this afternoon. With temperatures in the 90s, it changed from earlier in the day, but not by a lot. It is a hot, steamy afternoon, and right now, the leader, Matt Hirschman, continues to come up on lap traffic, but he's hitting his marks each and every time by. But also, as the battle for first and second is strong, let's go back to the third and the fourth position. Kyle Bonsignor is being hunted down by Jake Johnson. Johnson running right there with him, coming up on the McDonald machine. And it almost appears now that Bonsignor is well aware of the fact that Jake Johnson is right there on his back bumper. I think you're going to see a move there pretty quick, Joe.
Jake Johnson will run this car 8 times this year, including tonight. And you look at the drivers who he replaced. You've got Ryan Preece, who had a partial schedule in the 3 car this year.
Correct.
Former series champion and made a run at the NASCAR Cup Series. He's competing in the Camping World Truck Series as well. You got Donnie Leah, who is a 2-time champion, drove this car at the Richmond Raceway. And then you get Jake Johnson, who comes in and relative unknown when it comes to NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour action. Came up through super late models and late models and ran some open modified shows. But he's making a good run for it here in Old Blue, trying to pick up that 3rd spot early on in the going, and
there he goes.
A good strong showing for the pole sitter tonight.
He does. He makes his move to the inside, and Kyle Bonsignor drops back 1. McDonald with the number 26 car got out of shape on the front straightaway on the infield grass, but it doesn't affect much of anything.
Well, he's up the racetrack in turn 2 with a right front tire that is flat. Everybody flashing by. The leaders directly behind as they will skate to the outside lane. Gary McDonald not able to make it down to pit road. He's going to circulate again on the inside lane of the racetrack with a right front tire flat in the 26.
So the caution flag does come out. We believe the reason for the caution is the right front tire going flat on the Gary McDonald car. Started 16th on the grid, and this is going to, well, this could be the story where pit strategy is starting to come into play, because as we look down on pit road, we can see some of the teams. The Goodale team is one that we can visually see with their 58 sign for pit road. They've got tires and they are ready. Directly to the left of them is another team that's just getting ready. That's the 79 of John McKennedy. So I think you're going to see, once pit road is open, there is the green flag. It is now open. Matt Hirschman leads the parade, and Joe Koss said it best earlier when he said everybody was going to do what Matt Hirschman did. Who is everybody? Look at the entire field as it heads down on pit road.
And this is a tight pit road here. Everybody already in position, getting ready over the wall. They modified some of the rules of the pit stops here so the teams could get over what is a high jersey barrier on this pit wall compared to a lot of racetracks. So the teams come over. They've got the opportunity throughout the race today to change 6 tires. Most likely they will change 3 of those 6. They'll leave the left front tire on the car through the duration. Here's a look at the pit of Matt Hirschman. Right side tires going on there. We'll see if they make any adjustments on this race car. They'll come around and see if they change the right or left rear tire, I should say, on this stop as well.
Does not look it. He's coming back out.
Jake Johnson will beat everybody off of pit road.
And Eric Goodale, we predicted that, the number 58 car is the 3rd car out. Craig Lutz gains a lot of spots, being the 4th car out in the field. Then Doug Colby was the 5th car. It appeared that Colby's, from our vantage point, he did make the 3-tire change. But was there any other individuals that did? A great pit stop for Jake Johnson. There's no question about that. You know, there's an old saying that you gain more positions in the pit than you do on the racetrack, or it's easier to gain them on pit road. But time will tell in this one. But the complexion of this event is going to be interesting. Remember, the lap money situation, all of a sudden, we see back down at pit road, Kyle Bonsignor with car number 22. And we're not sure if this was their strategy or something might be awry. And then the number 98 car of Steve Dickey Jr., the USA Insulation, our sponsor of the event.
So Cam McDermott, the crew chief of this race car, he said, I was a little bit concerned about possibly losing a lap on pit road with all the action that was taking place on a very small racetrack.
Almost
So
happened.
they came down and changed the left rear tire only. Looks like they were only able to change 2 tires on the original stop. They head back out onto the racetrack.
He's
We're
gonna
set for the
play
green
catch
flag
up.
as they come up off turn number 4. Green flag is out. Matt Hirschman on the outside lane dives deep into turns 1 and 2. Jake Johnson, who won the race off pit road, has to settle in for second, but they're side by side for third.
They sure are, and it's Lutz to the outside with the number 82 car. Meanwhile, Eric Goodale, the 58 machine, red and white race car. Who's the tail that wags the dog there? It is the number 7 of Kobe. Matt Hirschman can smell that money because it took him about 2 turns of this racetrack to get back in the money position. While that's been happening, Greg Lutz's number 82 car, that orange car, center of your screen, lost 6, make it 7 positions on the racetrack. So they've got their hands full with that car as well.
He got pushed up the racetrack in turn 2, and now he continues to backpedal up in the outside lane. Everybody getting underneath that orange number 82, Justin Bonsignor, who's been quiet throughout the first stage of this race. So Craig Lutz got his hands full. Back up front, the battle on for second. Eric Goodale trying to find a way around the 3 car, but while he does that, Doug Kobe is on the hunt, looks low. Now he'll start to go to the outside. We haven't seen many drivers look to the outside lane yet, Ben, to try to pick up position.
We sure haven't. We've got to give a shout out to J.B. Ford with that number 34 car, because his pit strategy paid off. He came out as about the 6th or 7th car with the blue number 34. Now he is up among the top 5 positions, directly behind Doug Kobe. A little further back, let's check at the side-by-side battle that's going on. Here comes the number 54 machine again, trying to work some magic there. There's Austin Beers now trying to get underneath the Lutz car. That car has really dropped off the pace quite a bit. Lutz is back in the 11th position with that race machine as the young Beers moves by with car 64.
So he's able to get that spot. Meanwhile, back up front, Matt Hirschman is there, but behind him, starting to gain ground and closing in, is that 3 car of Jake Johnson. So Johnson's starting to close in on the race leader as the top 5 or so go single file. There you see the gap, about 2 car lengths between first and second. And Hirschman has led the entire way, except for a couple of laps under caution a moment or 2 ago, as he's back out in front. Second for Jake Johnson in the 3. Third for your championship point leader, Eric Goodale, having a solid run here to start the night.
You know, I think Eric Goodale's strategy is pretty much the same. He's just trying to ride with those top 3 cars. The spoiler in all of that becomes the number 7 car of Doug Kobe. Kobe takes a look to the bottom. It doesn't work. He pulls back into formation. Then it's Fort, the 34 car, directly behind him. Here comes Kobe again. Now that time, Kobe did work that right rear hard. And he is trying to get around Goodale as they come thundering back to the line.
It seems to me that Doug Kobe has recognized that this race is going to have a long green flag run type field.
I agree.
He doesn't want to let Matt Hirschman and Jake Johnson get too far out of sight. He wants to get up to third and get by Eric Goodale, but he's using a lot of his equipment to be able to do it. Kobe's really the only one on the track that's searching around high and low, trying to find room, even using the chrome board a little bit there to try to get by Eric Goodale.
He certainly has, and if you note him coming off turn number 4, he is stepping on the gas, trying to make the move right there, but it appears that Goodale suddenly closes the door, and now Kobe again trying a whole different strategy. Look a little further back there, another car that is trying to make its magic to get to the front is Ronnie Silk. That's the silver and neon numeral car, dead center of your screen right now. Here comes Silk trying to hold off the Sammy Ramo car. Sammy Ramo's car has been a factor all day long. That car got evil the last time by, and Silk is trying to make a run for it on the outside, Joe, and I don't think that's going to work.
That's going to put Sammy Ramo into 6th position, right behind J.B. Fortin, who runs in 5th in that number 34. He, too, J.B., a new dad. His wife, Erin, a week and a half ago, gave birth to a baby girl, Joelle.
Heavy lap traffic in front of the leaders. Walt Sutcliffe, the number 78 machine. And then right there with the lead pack of cars was the McDonald car. Still, Hirschman is your leader, car number 60. Jake Johnson still in second. Goodale is holding on to that third position. But there you got a great shot coming at you of Matt Hirschman and Jake Johnson. Years of experience and the youngster. Will the youngster be able to be as patient as the veteran? Time holds the answer here.
You have to wonder how hard Jake Johnson is pushing right now. We can't speak enough about how abrasive this racetrack is. Matt Hirschman can set the tone. He can set the pace. But with Jake Johnson being right on him like that, you know, he doesn't have the line that he wants to be able to run. You see him a little bit lower coming up off turn 2 that time. Means he's using a little bit more of that right front tire, a little bit deeper in the pack for 5th.
And that
Sammy Ramu.
Sammy Ramu really has come from the back of the pack early in the event and has worked his way through traffic. Looking very, very strong. He is among the quicker cars in the mid pack of cars. Now, as we said, he sets in the top 5. Will reset the field, of course. Hirschman's been the leader. Jake Johnson, number 3, is second. Doug Colby, the 7th car, is up to the 3rd position. And Eric Goodale is setting in the 4th spot with the GAF number 58. Sammy Ramo back up to position number 5. And there is Ronnie Still, Ford, and Justin Bonsignor. Those 3 cars. What a year it has been, Joe, for Justin Bonsignor. He started out at New Smyrna, running up front leading. A mechanical problem took him out. Stop number 2 in the Whelen Modified Tour. You know the story there.
Richmond Raceway late run trying to track down Tommy Catalano. Got the win there for Justin Bonsignor. Last weekend at the Riverhead Raceway, similar to what we saw at New Smyrna, where New Smyrna he had a motor problem. Last weekend broke the track bar mount on this number 51. They had to look at replacing the drive shaft, many of the links in the back of this race car to be ready to go racing here tonight. But really an up and down season for the defending champion. Up front, Matt Hirschman, it's been all up for him.
Yes,
he has been rock solid. And when you look in the paddock area before the race, there's a lot of drivers that are hands-on. But Matt Hirschman is a thinker.
He is.
He's back in the trailer. He's doing his work. He's got his clipboard, writing notes down, doing the math on the setup of his race car. He builds them, he sets them up, he drives them, and he's got a lot of money in the bank account based on his success this season.
He sure does. And he comes from a family of real racers. They eat, sleep, and drink auto racing, and that is so important. Jake Johnson has really closed up that gap between first and second. It's down to 0.175, so he has been cautiously and quietly marching to the front of this field. Now, he took a peek at the inside, but here's the lap traffic, and we've seen that the lap traffic has an effect. Walt Sutcliffe is on the bottom of the racetrack with 78, and Hirschman goes on by, Jake Johnson, and now closing in Doug Colby. And I think the strategy you call for Colby is 100% on target. He wants to stay with those top 2 cars. He wants to be the 3rd man in line to fire the gun when the time is right and be a factor for this victory.
And that's part of experience. Kobe said before the race, I won a race at Myrtle Beach Speedway. He said, and I was a leader, and I set the pace, and I kept looking in the mirror, waiting for everybody to catch me, and they just couldn't catch me because they got too far behind. And he remembers that. He's got it in his mind, and that's why he wants to keep pace with the leaders. Matter of fact, he's a little bit faster than them right now is Jake Johnson. Meanwhile, Trouble Craig Lutz
goes around with car number 82.
That's the 3rd caution of the night as his car has since pointed backwards on the front stretch grass.
That's correct. That's the Danny Watts-owned race car. That car made a great pit stop earlier, worked its way up to the top 5, and then continued to get loose and off the pace just a bit, bringing out caution number 2.
Now, this is the decision point right here that's going to win or lose this race.
I agree.
Now, we've got 77 laps to go. The tires are good for about 60 laps.
Correct.
We've seen a lot of green flag runs here. There's no reason to think that that's going to change here tonight. This could be the last opportunity to come down pit road and get tires, but you know there is somebody out there who's going to say, I've got to do it different. If I want a shot to win this race, I got to wait, and I got to get my tires after everybody else to get off cycle. The question is who it's going to be, how many are going to try that strategy, and who's going to go a different route. Pit road is open,
and all of a sudden, Matt Hirschman heads down on pit road again. Eric Goodale comes with him.
But look who doesn't come.
That is correct. It is Jake Johnson staying out. Doug Colby is staying out. Sammy Ramo is staying out. Fortin is in with the number 34 car. 36 of Dave Zapienza. And then the car that brought out the caution, Craig Lutz, and the Catalano car is back in. Story appears to be right side rubber for some of the teams. The Goodale car, they checked the right rear, and the strategy of that group got him back out. And here comes Sammy Ramo. Now, this was your second place car once the leader had pitted on pit road. Now, Ramo literally has passed more cars in this field than anyone because he dropped way back and then he came back to the front.
Interestingly enough, they're going to come in and get fuel in their race car. You should have enough fuel to go the whole way in this race, so kind of odd to see them getting fuel. We won't see a lot of that here today, but they are getting fuel in that 06.
You know, and fuel represents weight. So by adding fuel to the car, they are going to change the dynamics of the car and how it works and sticks on the racetrack.
There you see the 60 of Matt Hirschman came in the race leader and will come out and rejoin at the tail end of the field. There was quite a few drivers who stayed out. Jake Johnson, Doug Colby, Ronnie Silk, Justin Bonsignor, the 79 of John McKennedy. We haven't heard a lot from him. He stayed out. Austin Beers, Kyle Bonsignor. The first car that came down pit road was the 58 of Eric Goodale. He'll start the bottom half of the top 10. We'll see when they cycle back around to see exactly where he will be. It'll be 8th that Eric Goodale will restart, and
that will put
tires.
Matt Hirschman into the 9th position. J.B. Fortin, after a pit stop, will be back up to the top 10. Just out of the top 10 is Dave Zapienza in 11th, Tommy Catalano in 12th, and Sammy Ramo in 13th. For the first time today, we have an individual at the point again looking to get some of that lap money, that $10,000 worth of lap money, and Doug Colby is giving them a run for the money as they head down into turn number 1.
The outside's been the spot to start. We saw Matt Hirschman do that a couple of times, and Doug Colby with the outside lane noses up ahead as he gets into turn number 3. But Jake Johnson, the young 19-year-old pole sitter, trying to stay up front of this Whelen Modified Tour race.
While he's trying to do that, who moves into the 3rd spot? It is Ronnie Silk, car number 16, the Phil Moran prepared race car. Moving into 3rd, here comes John McKennedy, the 79 car, up to the 4th position. And it appears that Justin Bonsignor is in the upper lane and he's being shuffled back. We talked about that earlier at the start of this event.
Where is Matt Hirschman? He's right behind the 22 of Kyle Bonsignor working the bottom lane, but he's stuck in traffic. And all those brand new Hoosier tires he's got, they're not doing him any good right now because he just can't go anywhere with traffic directly ahead.
And it is really that simple. That Hirschman's car, pinned to the bottom, it's going to use up that new rubber. And that's what's happening right now. But now he's clear sailing there. He breaks away, and he looks good. But Doug Colby, picking up where he left off at Riverhead Raceway, is the leader. The margin between him and Jake Johnson is .384. Meanwhile, look a little further back than that as we see there's a good battle that's now shaping up, and it is the young Beers who is in the 10th position battling with Justin Bonsignor. Now, Bonsignor is behind Beers, and that's, as we said, the bottom of the top 10, and Goodale is now in the 11th spot with the GAF number 58. They're all running the very bottom of the racetrack.
Well, Ryan Stone tried to pick up some track position by staying out on the racetrack under that last caution flag, but it really hasn't worked out because he has started to fade, as you said, to the bottom of the top 10. Right behind them is a 58, Eric Goodale. He only took one right rear tire on that pit stop, and that did not serve them well.
And remember the fuel situation. We saw the Ramos car add fuel for weight. Apparently it is paying off because Ramo is now up behind Goodale. A few minutes ago, he was 4 positions further back.
With old tires, by the way. They did not get tires. Here's Matt Hirschman in the 60. He's trying to carve his way up through the field. Right now he's running 6th. Hasn't been able to catch to the back bumper of Kyle Bonsignor, the 22 as of yet, who's in a top 5 run. Everybody chasing Doug Covey, Jake Johnson, and Ronnie Silk. That's your top three, as we're now 113 laps in, which is, 62 laps to go in today's race.
And there's no question, the passing flag being distributed, but Doug Covey, the number 7 New York, the leader of the pack, looking racy at the point, going around the lap traffic. Jake Johnson is there. Ronnie Silk in the Phil Moran prepared car might be the surprise in this one, but John McKennedy, if you look at timing and scoring, those of you watching at home, you will see that John McKennedy is picking up times each and every lap. Kyle Bonsignor is staying with him, but there's a lot still left in that pack of cars. And there we have Fortin, car 34. He's really turned some heads here, and directly in front of him is that number 60 car. And it appears that Matt Hirschman still trying to stay to the bottom, and lap traffic still in harm's way there as well.
Here's a look at John McKennedy in that 79 machine running in the 4th spot. He's a driver that has won several races, the Ali Silva Memorial in October every year in the super modified category. Talk about a race car that takes a lot of finesse, 900 horsepower, big block engines, and maintaining that throttle control. That's what makes John McKennedy really good at racetracks where you need to have that tire conservation. Not surprising to see him running toward the front, the 4th position in the late going. And he's also had a lot of wins here in other modified series as well.
He certainly has.
This is his racetrack.
He is a driver that not only can drive the race car, but he sets it up. He works on it. He's a hands-on individual. And they got off to a real start. This team, when they introduced their very first modified, they met with misfortune. The car was completely destroyed. They rebuilt, restructured their race team, and they have been hot and consistent. They had a big victory already this year at New Hampshire International Speedway, securing the win in the open event that was run there. So that team is coming on strong. There's another interesting run there, and that is for the 9th position. And guess what? Matt Hirschman, is in the 8th spot now, and Tommy Catalano has moved up. So he's a man on the move again.
Yeah, not bad, because he was involved in that opening caution.
That early situation.
And starting to work his way through. So Tommy Catalano now up to 7th, having a good run in the late going here, as we're going to come up to, 51 laps to go. Next time the leaders come on by through the start-finish line here. In the Granite State Derby, 175, an outstanding event with that Kentucky Derby theme here, put on by JDV Productions and the entire team. Josh
It has been an amazing presentation. It's had all the elements of a true Cinderella story for that team and their operation. Meanwhile, it is Catalano who continues to try to work his way back to the front of this field. We've seen Catalano do this type of a run on many, many occasions. You won't even count him in at the beginning of the race, but as the race goes on, he develops his own rhythm with that 54 car. He comes up on Kyle Bonsignor, his next target, trying to work his way to the front.
Yeah, the time is coming for Tommy Catalano. I mean, everybody's looking at him as being that next first-time winner on the tour, having a good solid run. Still has a few more laps to see if he can improve his position with Kyle Bonsignor directly ahead. You know, we were talking a little bit about some of the drivers inside the top 5, and one of them is running in the 3rd spot. Ronnie Silk has had a pretty solid run here today in that number 16 machine. They haven't necessarily set the world on fire this season. There he is at the bottom of your frame. Hasn't necessarily set the world on fire, but they've had a pretty good stable season for a team that's starting to come together in the Whelen Modified Tour, and a new crew chief combination for him and Phil Moran. That 16 car is knocking on the door to get a win. They're 3rd right now, may not have the fastest car on the racetrack as it shows right now, but still a long way to go, and a lot can happen for a very experienced driver and crew chief behind that team.
It certainly can. Remember, last year, Ronnie Silk drove for Kevin Stewart and company. They were a contending team always, and this team is doing just that again. Meanwhile, look a little further back behind Silk, and you will see that we've got also another good closing run that is coming on from John McKennedy and Fortin. I think those two cars are pretty much about a car length and a half between them, but there is going to be open track ahead. Silk there at the center of your screen, car number 16. Phil Moran, who used to be the crew chief with Doug Colby. A lot of people were shocked when he decided to change sides a bit. It was a good mutual agreement. And now, Fortin making the move, and that shuffles John McKennedy, as John McKennedy was in the 4th position. Fortin there continuing to show great improvement here in this event.
This is a driver who comes from a racing pedigree. His dad, John Fortin Sr., a multiple track champion at the Riverhead Raceway, but J.B. Fortin has really made his name in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, running full-time with the series, and has established that he's going to be a contender just about anywhere he goes. 4th right now in a late race and a track that, like many others in the field, he had never even seen before he walked into this racetrack. And to be able to run inside the top 4 right now is a very good day for this team.
Well, his last circuit by, he won a 15.752, and that puts him among the quicker cars in the top 5. So he, again, is continuing to close up that gap. And Fortin, I think Fortin is all over Ronnie Silk. We're going to see some action there. He's not done yet. He's going to make a bid down low, Joe, as he pulls to the bottom of the racetrack. J.B. Fortin has picked up another position, and that is the 3rd spot, putting him up on the podium.
We think of the Fortin family as being the Riverhead Raceway team, but J.B. spent a lot of time racing at Evergreen Raceway.
Yes, and
that's
had a lot of success.
And it's got a lot of characteristics to this one, so that's probably working to his advantage as he leans on that experience of running at Evergreen. He's starting to reel in the 2nd place car, and that's a 3 of Jake Johnson, who's continued to have a solid day after that pole-winning effort earlier today.
Go
and
back to
J.B. Fortin is there, man. He has gone to the after
kid, the 60 and the 74. Good battle also. Here's an interesting battle. It is between Matt Hirschman, who is running in the 8th position, and Austin Beers, the kid next door, in the 9th position. So there is a good battle that is going on, as there is clean air between them. There is Jake Johnson in the Linz number 3, the Bowler prepared car. And right there, closing in, it is a good aggressive run. And it still remains, Catalano's still trying to work over things, but there's your leader, Doug Colby.
And he is starting to get some company, because
yes, he is.
You'll
He's
see the gap here for a second. Doug Colby out front, J.B. Fortin right there in the rearview mirror, and time is running out.
.931. Fortin became one of the quickest cars on the racetrack. He is really showing the talent that he has here today in this prestigious event, as Doug Colby continues to try to turn up the wick a bit now. His times are getting a little bit quicker.
Visibly, you can see it.
Yes.
As Colby out in front, but quickly comes J.B. Fortin. Now Doug Colby starting to catch lap traffic, and J.B. is going to allow that to work to his advantage. He closes in. Stephen Dickey down to the inside lane. Doug Colby lost a few car lengths there. The gap now only down to 4 car lengths among 1st and 2nd.
And the gap is already starting to disappear. They continue to show their competitiveness. Now, the leader Colby comes up on the Dennis Perry car, and that, of course, is right there to Jacob Perry, the son of Dennis Perry. Gives right away on the racetrack. And there is Doug Colby, and that margin is suddenly all but gone.
Don't need a stopwatch to tell this. Meanwhile, trouble. Justin Bonsignore goes spinning down to the inside off turn number 2. Caution flag goes out, and that is not the caution flag that J.B. Fortin wanted to see.
No, not at all. And let's see if we're going to get more pit strategy. And that, of course, the caution coming out late. We look at the scoreboard, 149 laps showing up on the scoreboard, Joe. Yeah. And there, let's see what's going to happen. Pit road is still closed at this point.
We'll let everybody cycle back around. So here's what happened the last time around, right? Who stayed out? Jake Johnson, Doug Colby, Ronnie Silk stayed out, Justin Ponsignor stayed out, right? So there's a lot of drivers running toward the front of the field that have not yet gotten their tires, but we saw when Matt Hirschman went and got his tires earlier that it really didn't help him drive through the field. We saw Eric Goodale. Everybody coming into this race said, you got to get tires. You can't win this race on one pit stop. How about it? The top handful of drivers.
5 actually, at this
on
point on one pit stop. And in addition to all of that, we saw a situation that did occur with Matt Hirschman. And that situation was he had to run the car low in line in traffic. Therefore, he kept the car to the bottom of the racetrack, but didn't give him the advantage. Now we'll take a look at the replay. And what happened, Bonsignor's car does a 360 spin, car number 51, the Phoenix car, the Ryan Stone prepared race car, as he comes back out into formation. And again, we talked about it earlier, Justin Bonsignor had no idea what he could anticipate and expect. So the caution flag is out of the field.
Oh, look what's going to happen here, though, Ben. Green
Here
flag on pit road is out. Your race leader, Doug Coby, J.B. Fortin, they are coming in for their second round of pit stops, but
and
so is everybody else.
Yep, a gaggle of cars, we'll call it, will follow, all heading down on pit road. And it looks like we'll keep our eyes on the Coby operation, as well as the Jake Johnson. Ronnie Silk, the number 16, is in. There is Goodale again. We'll keep our eyes on that center stage.
Let's keep an eye on the race leaders, though. Doug Coby.
And look at Johnson right behind him, that we're going to see a battle of the fittest, those two there.
You see the top 3 cars right there. You've got Doug Coby in the 7 New York. You've got the 3 car of Jake Johnson, the pole sitter, and you've got the 34 of J.B. Fortin. Matt Hirschman also in pit road taking tires on the right side there.
And it appears that Coby is the first car to be dropped down behind the number 54 car. So of the top 3 cars, Coby is the second car out of the racetrack, and Catalano was the first car out.
But not everybody came down pit road.
That is right.
Dave Zapienza, Craig Lutz stayed out in the racetrack.
Here's the 51, Joe, on pit road, the car that brought out the caution. They are looking to put on a right rear and a left rear on the Phoenix car. And it looks like they're going to the right front.
Well, he likely flat spotted the tires.
Yes, guaranteed. And then, of course, he did light those tires up as he tried to get it back around. And it looks like they did the right front. And now the number 51 returns to the competition.
Field will get the 1 to go signal when they come back along this time by. We'll have 20 laps to go when they get the green flag to kick things off. Dave Zapienza will come back around as the free pass. That will give the race lead to the
Perry.
82 car of Craig Lutz, but he has now dropped out of line to the bottom. And now here comes Tommy Catalano, who's out in front of the race lead. So they're stacked
talk about
up.
Pit strategy. Look at the number 60 car. It is to the inside of the second row. So Matt Hirschman is back in striking distance. What a run for J.B. Fortin. There's no question about that. He has been a huge factor throughout this afternoon. This is what the fans have come to see. And those watching on Flow Racing, this is what it's all about. The final 20 circuits for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour since 1998. Will a new name or a familiar name that has already won in 2022 be the story here for this prestigious event?
All right, here we go, getting ready to get back under the green flag. Tommy Catalano, the race leader, has never won a race. Came close a couple of weeks ago in Richmond. He's on the bottom lane of that 54. Doug Coby to the outside in the 7 New York. He won last time out at the Riverhead Raceway. Green flag is out, and we are off and running, and Coby takes the top spot around the outside lane in turn 2.
There's no question about it. Doug Coby went high, wide, and handsome and took over the number 1 spot. Catalano spun the tires up in the loose stuff. Goes J.B. Fortin, car 34. He is way up high and way off the pace. Something has definitely went awry in the number 34 car. Back up front, John McKennedy has moved to 79 into the 3rd position, directly behind Catalano in the red number 54 car. Side by side, look at Jake Johnson. He's trying to come back to the front of the field. He's challenging Austin Beers for the 7th and 8th position.
They've got all these new tires, and they know they want to use it up before the end of this one here. Now 16 laps to go as they come across the line. This time by out front, it's Doug Coby, but the battle now brewing for second. Here comes John McKennedy trying to find a lane to the inside of Tommy Catalano up off turn number 4. McKennedy looks down to the inside lane.
McKennedy dives to the bottom of the racetrack, keeps it nice and tight and low. They're wheel to wheel and side by side. They've worked their magic back to the line. Car 79 moves into the runner-up spot. John McKennedy now in second, and here comes Matt Hirschman. Hirschman works his magic to the inside of the Catalano machine. That's the bid for third, Joe. Here comes Matt Hirschman.
And Hirschman will go wheel to wheel with Tommy Catalano, working the bottom lane of the racetrack, tries to get into the top 3 and see if he can set sail
Here
to track down
Silk.
both John McKennedy and Doug Coby, who's out in front. Here's the crossover move now. Catalano tried
Doesn't
to get
work.
to the bottom, didn't have the room.
He did not have the room, and right behind him is Ronnie Silk. Silk aims the car to the bottom. Catalano shuts the door. It opens back up. They come off the turn. Good battle shaping up for the 4th and 5th position here. Meanwhile, Eric Goodale, 58, GAF Riverhead Building Supply Machine, is up into the top 6.
10 to go.
Laps to go.
This time by deeper in the pack. We still watch Eric Goodale and team, but Doug Coby flashes across the stand to get 10 laps to go here in the Granite State Derby 175. Presented by U.S.A. Insulation here at the Lee U.S.A. Speedway. The question is Catalano out of shape on the back straightaway.
He did a nice job of saving it, but he's backing up in the outside lane. Now it is Goodale that moves to the inside. Eric Goodale now is up into the top 5. Goodale isn't done yet. He sets his sight on Ron Silk. While that's been happening, Jake Johnson, the number 3 car, has moved in. Johnson is now in the 6th position. The countdown continues. And Catalano gets shuffled further back. His car suddenly became evil. But that's not the case for the car that dominates the racing action at the point. Car number 7. And that, of course, Doug Coby, looking for back-to-back victory.
Coby enters down into turn 3 and 4, brings it back around this time by. He'll see 6 laps to go for Doug Coby back into turn number 2, and he's got a healthy advantage back to the 2nd place of John McKennedy. Deep in the pack, though, Eric Goodale still in a fight with the 3 of Jake Johnson.
That's the battle for the 5th and the 6th position. Kyle Bonsignor is back in the 7th spot with that number 22 car. It's come down to this. Jake Johnson tries to make the move. They touch. Goodale holds on and guards the spot. And here comes Kyle Bonsignor. 3 cars contending to be among the top 5 positions as time is starting to run out.
Yeah, time has certainly run out here as you've used up just about everything you had. Eric Goodale, Jake Johnson, Kyle Bonsignor had a very good run today. Johnson was up front throughout the duration of the race, had an opportunity to compete for the win, but today looks like he's going to be settling a little bit deeper in the field as he continues to try to get by. But
Goodale, Jake Johnson and Goodale come together. The point leader has went around at the top side of the racetrack, and Jake Johnson, the number 3 car and the 58, the GAF Riverhead Building Supply car, come together, and that was a battle for the 4th and 5th position. And there's the car that suffered the severity of all of that. Look very closely at your screen at the left rear, and you can see the body damage there. That's where the contact was that sent the number 58 spinning. Hopefully we'll have a replay of that and take a look at that situation. But that is crucial. They're running for the points, and here's a look at it. Goodale tries to keep the car to the bottom. Jake Johnson is there. They touch, and Goodale's car is the car that lost the most in all of that.
it's hard to tell whether or not Jake Johnson slid up the racetrack or if Eric Goodale came down the racetrack a little bit. Both racing hard for position, but that's not the way Eric Goodale wanted to end a very strong day for them. Would have been another strong points day. He's going to be now towards the tail end of the field. We'll see where he's running, back in 10th right now.
And Justin Bonsignor is back in the 11th position as we currently look at the rundown. Doug Kobe, your leader. John McKennedy, 79, is second. Matt Hirschman, the 60, running in third. Ronnie Silk in the fourth spot. And Kyle Bonsignor, who's had an up and down day, but is still strong, in the fifth position. Great run. The leading rookie is in the sixth spot. That's Austin Beers. And Jake Johnson is in the seventh spot as your second rookie. Tommy Catalano is in the eighth position. J.B. Fortin is in ninth. And as we said, Goodale, even though he had the spin, he is in the 10th position. So it cost him track position on the racetrack.
Justin Bonsignor will get the free pass as he is the first car a lap down. That's why he's right ahead of the race leader, Doug Kobe. So once they give him the one to go, he'll cycle back around. Front row is going to be Doug Kobe and John McKennedy. I think John McKennedy was a little bit faster on that last run, but Doug Kobe was able to get out ahead. Kobe's like the outside lane. The outside lane is where you need to be when you start this race, and Kobe will have that option when we get back under the green flag here for a two-lap overtime shootout here today in the Granite State Derby.
There's no question about it, and you know that Kobe not only is running that higher line, but he has been very smooth there. And now John McKennedy, of course, is going to become a factor, and no holds barred. This is what the fans come to see. You, the viewers on Flow Racing, are watching intensely. Who is it going to be? Doug Kobe, the first repeat winner with back-to-back wins? Or will it be John McKennedy?
Kobe will be on the inside lane when we get back under this green flag. It is an overtime finish. If the driver, the leader, comes back around to the white flag, the next flag ends the race. If there's a caution on this first lap, we'll re-rack them and do it again. Kobe,
here they come.
McKennedy on the front row as we get ready to go. 2 laps to go to settle the Granite State Derby here at Lee, USA.
With the snap of the wrist, the green flag is out. And it is Kobe quickly to dive to the bottom of the racetrack. The new challenge becomes the challenge for third. It's Matt Hirschman. He's being pressured by Ronnie Silk. The 16 on the outside of your screen. They come to the line, 1 lap to go.
And it's Doug Kobe who's out in front. McKennedy not within striking distance as Kobe clean sailing as he rolls down into turn number 3. Through turns 3 and 4, Doug Kobe for the second week in a row looking for the checkered flag as he wins at Lee U.S.A. Speedway.
There's no question about it. Kobe becomes the first repeat winner of 2022. John McKennedy unofficially will finish in second with car number 79. Matt Hirschman, car number 60, the car that led the most laps, will finish in the third position unofficially. And in the fourth spot will be the number 16 of Ronnie Silk. Great run for the rookie, first rookie in the fifth position, Jake Johnson. Kyle Bonsignor will finish in sixth. Austin Beers in seventh. J.B. Fortin in the eighth spot. Eric Goodale, after a late event spin, comes back to finish in the ninth spot. Justin Bonsignor had a yo-yo of a day. He will finish in position number 10. Then it's Tommy Catalano, Sammy Ramo, Craig Lutz in 13th. Dave Zapienza is 14th. Jacob Perry, good run for that rookie, in 15th. Steve Dickey in the 16th position. Walter Sutcliffe is 17th. Gary McDonald is 18th. And Melissa Fifield will round out the field here today. As Doug Kobe, in winning form in Tommy Baldwin's race car, back-to-back victory, and what a win in this, the JDV Productions special event here. And what a day it has been. The Whelen Granite State Cup event. Remember the point money, $10,000 in lap money. And in just a moment, we'll be heading down trackside with our winner, Joe Koss.
Be over your right shoulder, stand right. 1, 2, 3.
And let's go down to the winner's circle. Joe Koss and our winner, Doug Coby.
Well, Doug Coby, for the second race in a row in a fill-in role, is able to win at the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour as he has won race number 1 of the Whelen Granite State Short Track Cup here tonight. The Granite State Derby, 175 at Lee U.S.A. Speedway as he climbs out of the car here in Victory Lane along the front straightaway. Doug, you come in a fill-in role, and 2 in a row, you're back at Victory Lane of the Whelen Modified Tour.
Yeah, I can save some tires too, guys. And Tommy Baldwin gave me a great car for 2 races in a row, and just setting my pace with Matt out front, and just kind of seeing what his car was doing, and it was really good. And we just stuck to our plan. I mean, Tommy's great at that. You know, stuck to his plan for the adjustments for the car, for the feature, and also stuck to his plan to take tires when we said we were going to take tires. And it's really nice to have 3 fresh tires with 25 to go here, and just an awesome win for a great team. And thinking of Kayla, Jimmy, my friend Mike Weber, and Abby and the family who passed a week or 2 ago. And you know, my dad, I know you're home, I love you. Another lap, 1 to go, caution there, so we know what that led to. But man, I want to thank everybody here, Lee U.S.A. Speedway. Everybody knows it's a tough place to get around. You got to really manage your tires. So I want to thank Norm Wren and his family for having us here. U.S.A. Insulation for sponsoring the race. Josh Fineta, JDV Productions for what's a pretty cool deal he's doing here to try to get modified racing to some different tracks. So hopefully you fans will support him and go to the other races he's putting on at Monadnock and Claremont, Jennerstown this weekend. We need that, guys. We need you guys there. We need you guys tuning in on Flow Racing, Racing America, whoever's watching. It's a good time to be driving this car on the Modified Tour. I don't care if it's part-time or full-time. I just want to race, and really good time here with these guys.
After you led a lot of the race today, and you had the opportunity there, all of a sudden, the end of the race, another green-white checker finish. What was going through your mind when you saw the 60 and the 79 to McKennedy right there with you again for a 2-lap shootout?
I was a little more escalated than I was at Riverhead because, you know, this is a tough track. You can spin your tires real easy, and I wasn't going to worry. John's a clean driver. Matt's a clean driver, but I didn't want to worry too much about John and open the door for Matt to be the hero. They're both so good. They're the kings of tire management. John's been doing it for years with the Modified Racing Series, and we know Matt's success. So to be able to race with those guys, it's a great feat for the 7NY team, the Baldwin family, and, you know, again, I won at Myrtle Beach. It's a track similar to this. It's a tough race to manage, and just hope that I did a good job, and we ended up in victory lane.
All right, 2 in a row for Doug Coby. Modified Tour, a part-time driver, but he still can get the job win. It's one of the reasons why he is a 6-time series champion.
Okay, so we've had the opportunity. And once again, congratulations goes out to the winner, Doug Coby. Josh Finata down there to congratulate him. And now Joe Koss moves over to our second place finisher, a gentleman who's familiar with this racetrack with a Super. Now he did really well in the modifieds as well. Back to Joe Koss and John McKennedy.
Yeah, John McKennedy, another solid run here tonight. John, this is a racetrack you've got a lot of experience at. You came up just a bit short here tonight. What else did you need on that last restart to be able to get by Doug Coby tonight?
Just had to rotate a little bit better. We were just a little bit too pushy. I just had to wait that little bit right in the middle of the corner to get the car to turn, and ultimately that's where we struggled all day. But overall, great day. I'm proud of all the guys. Long, hot day. We really struggled today and made some good adjustments. Just still a little bit off, but hey, I'll take it. Second place. Congratulations to Doug and Tommy Baldwin. You know, good group of guys there. They all worked their butts off. So cool to see them win. Just obviously a little disappointed we ended up second, but still a good run. Thanks to my car owners, Tim, Cheryl Lapine. Give me great equipment. My sponsors, Middlesex Interiors, Christopher's Towing, John Young Landscaping, and Will Wood Brakes, Valvoline. You know, without them, I couldn't do it.
All right, that's John McKennedy, who will come home in the second place here tonight in the Granite State Derby.
And now we're going to go after our second place finisher to the man, well, they call him Big Money Matt. Well, there's no question about it. He took a lot of the lap money for this event, as now the number 60 is in the third spot, not the spot that he wanted. But when you add up the amount of money that he took out of this event, I think you're going to be surprised because he's high on the food chain. Joe?
Well, he led a lot of laps early on, but Matt Hirschman, as we talked about before the race, said this was going to be a tire and a pit stop strategy kind of a race. The way you played it out, you came home in third. Describe your run tonight.
Good start. Just ended up a little bit off on strategy and our tires a little bit. Unfortunately, we had a good car to start. The PD Motorsports car and team did a good job, and you kind of sometimes you live or die by some of the decisions you make, and some of them start earlier in the day. What you do with your tires and how you plan on using them, and I think we just ended up a little bit off. I'd like to redo a couple things, but still a good run. And like I said, we led a lot of laps. I know Kevin Rice did a good job with raising some extra money, and the event, the JDV Productions, got a good thing going here, and going to, it's been a while since I raced here, so I'm glad we did it. Just don't like the result as much as, we could have what could have been.
All right, that's Matt Hirschman. He will go back into the drawing board and see what he can do to park this car in victory lane again, but a solid third-place finish for the driver of car number 60, Matt Hirschman.
Well, what an incredible run. We've turned the different strategy around. Victory lane celebration is still underway. Doug Colby is smiling from ear to ear. The same can be said for Tom Baldwin. Tom Baldwin Jr., they are ecstatic in the winner's circle, and rightfully so. The other stories, well, there was a lot of them. Different strategies for different people on pit road and on the racetrack itself. Perhaps one of the heartbreakers of the event was the number 58 of Eric Goodale. An altercation forced him to go around, and that situation resulted in him finishing in the 9th position. That's not where the point leader wanted to be. He was a factor all day long as well. What about Ronnie Stilk going into the next events on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour? We realize that Stilk is here, and he's here to stay, and is going to be a huge factor as well. Joe Koss, all the ingredients were there. A record crowd, in addition to JDV's production and presentation. It was like the Kentucky Derby, a banner field, some excitement, some enthusiasm, and a lot of money made it a day to remember. 1998, Eddie Flemke Jr. set in the winner's circle here. Today, Doug Colby is king of the hill, and he wins the Lee USA big event that is part of the historic run for the Granite State Derby, presented by U.S.A. Installation.
Yeah, this was a race that had all the ingredients of an outstanding short track event, between a Kentucky Derby feel, the Granite State Derby with a bugler and all for the call to post to start the race today. We had drivers that were really up on the wheel. Strategy came into play, lots of pit stops, a green-white checker overtime finish. I mean, that is what short track racing is all about.
And that's what the Whelen Modified Tour is all about.
And Doug Colby, second race in a row. He's victorious to the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour as we head to Jennerstown next weekend. Bonsignor, Doug Colby, pre-race getting ready to go. Packed crowd here today at the Lee USA Speedway. We fired him up, went racing. It was Matt Hirschman, who was early out in front, who led the way. Jake Johnson won the pole, an outstanding driver there as well.
There were so many side stories. Fortin ran so strong as part of the event early, and then it was Sammy Ramo with car number 06. Then Justin Bonsignor spun late in the event. But it was car number 58 for Goodale, a heartbreaker of a story for the point leader.
At the end of the day, though, it was Doug Colby who captured the victory in the Granite State Derby.